Al Qatar, responding by telling Sky Sports from Qatar, of course. My question to the coach is this. Has he been to Qatar? Is he basing his opinions and his public statements on what he has read? Because it is kind of an issue if you're basing your opinion and you're very, very vocal about that based on things you have read. Somebody with a lot of influence, such as Gareth Southgate, somebody with a big audience that listens to what he says, ought to pick his words very carefully. The Times chief football writer Henry Winter joined us earlier with Ali Marcel and rejected any notion Southgate had spoken out of turn.
For Nasser Al-Khattaar to come out and say Gareth has got to pick his words carefully, I mean, anyone who knows Gareth Southgate knows that he does pick his words carefully. He's not sort of throwing statements out there. If you understand Southgate, if you understand one of the reasons why this England team were expressing themselves on the field, it's because he's got them to express themselves, the players to express themselves off the field. This is a generation which we've seen on social media, which we've seen with Marcus Rashford, with food poverty, Jordan Henderson with the NHS. You know, these are a very enlightened group of players, certainly in my experience of covering England for 20, 30 years. So I think the players have got a quite right to ask questions.
There you go. Right, Gab, let me ask you. Well, first of all, I made this statement, it was an hour or two ago, about I didn't really fancy Beijing, the Winter Games. I didn't fancy Sochi when it was on because of who was behind it. But maybe I'm a hypocrite because I've been to Dubai a few times. You love Dubai, don't you? Yeah. And they had the same issues, didn't they, when they were building, when they suddenly realised oil and gas was running out, we'll make it a...
They still have, by the way. Still have the same issues.
Right, so let's make it a big holiday venture. And they were busting people in from Bangladesh, Pakistan, etc., etc. Yeah. Qatar are doing the same. So are we being a wee bit hypocritical here when we go on holiday to Dubai when people are picking out Qatar and blaming them now?
Yeah, I think definitely we are, but what Henry said there was right about Southgate. He does pick his words right. You know, he doesn't say things out of line.
Should he be involved in it though? Should he get involved? He's the coach of he's the manager coach of an international side that are going to the World Cup, and there's no way under the sun England are going to pull out. No way.
No. I don't think any country will pull out though. You know, the World Cup's such a big event. I can't see any country pulling out, but it's good that Southgate has come out with the comments that he's made because it is an issue, isn't it?
I think we're all, in many ways, Alan, guilty of hypocrisy. We all are, myself included. I mean, you look at 2018 World Cup in Russia, which I loved, by the way. They've got issues. China, the exact same. We could talk all day about Saudi Arabia, and look at what they're doing now, Grand Prix and boxing and golf and everything. So it's just the ever-changing world, but I think players and managers are now far more socially aware of things that are going on, and these questions will get fired at them, and generally speaking the vast majority of them will have an opinion on it. I mean, Eddie Howe's the same. Eddie's getting asked questions clearly, but he's the current owners at Newcastle. It's just in many ways it's unavoidable, but I would imagine Gareth and Eddie Howe and people like that, the last thing they want to be talking about, because they're football managers and football coaches, they want to answer football questions, but sometimes they are unavoidable.
Well, England are unbeaten in the last 22 matches in all competitions, which is fantastic. The outright longest ever unbeaten streak in the Three Lions history. We're asking the question, has Gareth Southgate been treated unfairly by some fans and pundits? Let's hear with Simon Jordan. Simon doesn't seem to think so.
Let's just look at what we didn't win. We lost in the World Cup when we had a passage through it that no one could have ever believed we were going to get, and we missed an opportunity, and we did the same thing in the European Championships. We should have won that European Championships, and the selection of putting players on the pitch that hadn't even kicked a ball to take penalties was poor. So whilst I absolutely applaud the fact that we've done more with this guy than other managers, that's because we had the bloody opportunity to. We will never get draws in World Cups and European Championships like we got in this particular set of tournaments. We could and should have done better. We should have won the European Championships. We could and should have beaten the Croatians, and because of his ineptitude at the time, he didn't have the ability to overcome the Croatians in that semi-final. We got a draw that people would have prayed for in the World Cup. We beat everyone that we should beat, and then when it comes up against someone that we might not be able to beat, we lose.
Has Mr. Jordan got a picture of Gareth Southgate on his dartboard? That is the question for you.
He's acting like Croatia weren't a good team. Some outstanding players.
Yeah.
You know, Modric was on top form in that game. Had some good players, Croatia. So I think he's got it in for Southgate. Something's gone on, hasn't it?
At Palace?
Yeah, something's gone on, I reckon. Maybe sat in his seat at a game in Palace. Sat in his seat.
Do you
Sat in
think
the
so?
chairman's seat.
I tell you where he has got a point. It was a great draw all the way through, and it was a semi-final they could have won. But I do take your point. Croatia were an excellent side, very good.
Are you acting
But
like
I remember
England didn't beat?
Harry Kane had a great chance to make it 2-0.
Are you acting like England didn't beat some good teams in the Euros?
Yeah.
You know, results against Germany,
But
Denmark.
that 22 unbeaten, you can't. I don't care who they played.
Exactly.
That's a fantastic record. Listen, I would like, if I'm being dead honest, I'd like to see Gareth be more open with his play, attack more with the players he's got at his disposal. I'd like to see him play some players that maybe don't toe the line, but are clearly good enough to play. And some players are not playing that well if the clubs get a game because they'll never let them down. But the record is there, so that he can throw that back in your face. 22 unbeaten.
Yeah, but you keep saying that, so that 22 unbeaten is a strange one, because I take it the final doesn't count then, even though it was penalties. That doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count penalties.
All right, so okay, that's fine. Just as long as I've established that. That was just a question from north of the border that needed clarified. Because the last time I looked, you didn't win the final, so therefore you lost the final. But anyway, carry on, guys.
Your point is?
My point is, it can't be
So
22 unbeaten.
Your point is you were Simon.
No, not at all. But my point is, how can you go 22 unbeaten when about 8 or 9 games ago you get beaten? That's my
If
point.
it's after 90 minutes, it doesn't count.
Okay, that's clarified. Thank you. As long as it's clarified.